Welcome to the internalized part of the Living Well Nature Spirit Sanctuary. We're doing this inside, we're doing it at night, and it's keeping in the spirit of the dark, murky, subterranean energies of Scorpio. So happy new moon in Scorpio right here in the middle of November. Friday the 13th was a dark moon, and then on Saturday night at about 9 o'clock p.m. our time, West Coast time, we had a new moon. So we're just at the very beginning of new beginnings here in the dark quarter. This sets the tone for the whole lunar month. There's a lot of emotion in the air and a lot of undercurrents of feeling. The best advice to give about that is to be real, to allow this stuff to come to the surface, because as we had a new moon, then the next few days, which includes now, the moon moves into Sagittarius, which is like, what is your deep inner truth? What do you want to set up with that? What do you want to embrace of yourself? And then it moves on to, moon in Capricorn, middle of next week, setting your plans into action and so forth, and on from there. Lunar eclipse at the end of the month on November 30th, and that should be an interesting coming to a peak point. The unconscious comes to the consciousness, comes to the conscious realm at this time. In these Scorpio times, basically all cultures in the northern hemisphere have some version of Scorpio or some version of the serpent that is a strong imagery this year. And in the European Christian-based cultures, that the dark spirits would come out, that the spirits would walk the earth around the 1st of November, which was later called All Saints' Day, because I guess saints are spirits, of course. And then what would happen from there is the All Hallowed Eve, where it's an acknowledgement that the spirits of the dead walking the earth and so forth. So this has been a wonderful time for tuning in with your deceased relatives and the ones that have walked before us. Where we're going, I'll keep you tuned to that in a minute. But I just want to say that this time I'm really motivated, since we're all doing pandemic consciousness right now, and we don't have the ability to, most of us, to be in our larger nests with other people. This time of the dark quarter can be really, really dark, and we usually make up for it by having lots of lights and revelry and having parties, starting in the early Sagittarian times right after Thanksgiving, and going way into Christmas, and then Kathunk. So the Kathunk already happened with the solar eclipse last year on Christmas night, and we've had a pandemic since then. We've had shutdowns. We've had an election. I'd rather skip the election this time and not talk about politics, but I want to talk about people's individual reactions and actions, because you see, we're all motivated by our emotions. Our emotions are how we carry memory, they're how we integrate our thoughts, they're how we connect with our higher selves. If we're not real with our emotions, then what happens is we project a whole bunch of layers, which are not really true. And that's the Scorpio Sagittarius dichotomy. Scorpio is about going in deep and feeling. Sagittarius is the natural time of abundance and recognizing the joy of winter, really. And then after that, the sun goes into Capricorn, and Saturnalia, the winter tide, is the beginning of the darkest time, but it's a time of returning to the light. So in ancient times, northern hemispheres, we celebrated all these things, of course, and now we celebrate through Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And I suggest we combine all three this year, since it's such a notably unusual year. So phase one, go into the dark side. Feel your feelings. Go in really deep and feel what's going on, because that's natural to these Scorpio times in the middle of November. Then at the end of November, we usually have Thanksgiving. This time, find something find something to be thankful for. Emerge out of your own subterranean consciousness to find joy and to find something to really celebrate, even if it's by yourself, even if you're alone and you're not able to be with your family or your bigger, tribal family at this time. And then third phase, Christmas. Christmas is the light returning. It's also, Hanukkah, the light returning. Everything about the season here in the Northern Hemisphere is about a celebration of hope and renewal. And that guideline is exactly how things are going to play out the next couple of months. There's a lot that is turning around at this time, but in a very kind of not so obvious state, in the same way that a seed, when you plant it, is not showing itself for a while, but it's growing. There's something going on under the surface. So Scorpio is about the deep mysteries, and then we move into Sagittarius, which is about usually that's about travel, expansion, etc. But that's also about our philosophical, spiritual, and other truths. So a truth sharing, the time of clearing and reclamation. Um, and that's what we have to look forward to over the next few weeks. And then there's a lunar eclipse right on the end of the month, November 30th. This is going to be a peak point of having integrated. Where do we take it? What do we want to express with that? That's kind of the theme of the lunar eclipse happening. So then backing up a bit, Mars just came out of retrograde. Mars is yang energy, motivation, and drive. Mars has been letting us know about his selfish side by way of being in Aries for 8 months total. And in the summer, Mars went retrograde. Mars came out of retrograde. Today is Sunday the 15th. Mars went out of retrograde on Friday the 13th. One of the things when planets go in and out of retrograde, and Mercury is such a great example. Mercury also came out of retrograde on election day, and many people are like, oh, Mercury's not retrograde anymore. That means I can focus or whatever. But what happens is there's a point when it's not moving at all. So Mercury is a few days. Mars is really a few weeks. Mars is just at right in the middle of Aries, just at 15 degrees Aries, pretty much this whole month. And so even what technically, according to the planets, Mars turning around and becoming stationary direct is an uptick. It means a time of potential healing of our selfish patterns. By the way, that was a cameo appearance of my black cat, because it's important to have a black cat at the season. And anyway, so Mars will continue to be in Aries, covering old ground once again, what they call the shadow time of the retrograde. And Mars doesn't enter a new sign or a new aspect of itself until, of all days, January 1st. So Mars turning around now, it's a good sign, but we're going to be playing out the residual dichotomy energies right now. Venus is in the tail end of Libra, and there's such a desire now for social life, for connecting, for for love, and of course this is like the greatest salve for this time. Venus, Venus in Libra highlights these things, and it's a good time if you have a relationship. Good time to appreciate that relationship, because let's face it, a lot of us are going through cabin fever and everything that's attached to it. So let's just put that in the mix. If you and your partner or partners, or however you see it, if friends, anything, if you and your loved ones didn't break up and strangle each other under Mars retrograde, probably things are going to get a lot better, even if your socioeconomic situation may not change for a bit. Venus will then enter Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio is going to be really intensifying of everything that we're feeling, particularly towards each other. And so there can be, this is why I'm telling you to go deep now, because whatever in the next few weeks, whatever hasn't been put on the table may be put on the table. So you want to, be proactive and bring up this stuff because I feel that once we really purge and recognize our darker sides, then we actually can make headway into the future. Because the final phase of this year, which we're not at yet, which is the next lunation, which is middle of December on, is going to be a time of healing and a time of projecting into the future. So, what do you need to do before that? You need to compost the past. You need to release from the past. You need to acknowledge what truth is and how that's changing. Um, so that's the dynamic that we're working with right now. Mars continues to be in Aries for the rest of the year and will go across old ground just like it did in the last few weeks with Mars, the elections and the intensity of that time. Uh, so Mars has gone backwards. It's going to a place where it's not so triggering, and then there's going to be more triggers that go through for a few more weeks. Um, so along with the eclipses, the eclipse cycle that naturally comes up, that means a shift will happen. But I'm encouraging y'all to be the captain of your own ship when the shift happens uh, because otherwise the shift can hit the fan, and you have to watch out for that. Um, so, what else do I need? Well, Uranus is still retrograde in Taurus, moving backwards, reshuffling the economy and reshuffling our personal directives, how we relate to each other, and how we can make our way in a clever way, and how we can invent new paradigms. Um, that one comes out again in January, comes out of the retrograde. But at the end of this month, November, Neptune, uh, Neptune in Pisces comes out of its retrograde. Neptune is the dreamer, and Neptune is the necessary aspect of ourself that goes beyond the linear realm to the painting a picture of what could be. And if we can't dream it, we can't do it. Neptune retrograde has sort of been about 5 months of what would be the word for it? Duality, subterfuge, fooling ourselves, fooling each other, way too many conspiracy theories. It's easy to come up with conspiracy theories as long as they demonize the ones you want to demonize. But the truth is way beyond that, way more complicated. And we come up with these theories and pass them around as a way of maintaining, as a way of dealing with our fears. But it's like fast food that's not very filling, and it can create its own problems. So that's the dark side of Neptune retrograde. Neptune coming out of retrograde would be, are you willing to take a stand and believe in a new vision? And the new vision for yourself, the new vision for your community, for your country, for the world. I think we can do that. Next month, Saturn and Jupiter both move after the new moon, which is also a solar eclipse. Saturn and Jupiter move together into new sign Aquarius, which is very hopeful. Next year is very, very complicated. I don't want to sum it up in a few words or spoil the game by projecting too far into the future. The pattern really changes. We've been in a locked pattern for pretty much all this year, and even though many of us may remain in lockdown and may be challenged with our ability to move around, there's something new and something that has not been dreamed before that's coming afoot, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to co-creating a new world with y'all. So allow that time for visioning, allow that time for dreaming. Perhaps you have time on your hands now. Perhaps this is a time when it's okay to nap a little bit more, or to move your energy into a calmer place by what could be. Sometimes it helps to remember old dreams, old ideals that you had, and to see where where you can reinvest that. It's an exciting new world that's going to be created, but it's the excitement of the seed just being planted and being nourished underground at this point. Dark water, natural time to hibernate and to go into ourselves. Many of us have to, light up every inch of it so that we feel safe. But it's good to turn off those lights sometimes, including turn off your internet when you go to sleep, please, because you'll sleep better. So I wish you all well. This is the transformative season, and I'll keep you posted. Should be an interesting month coming up.